ni ai ni ta no du te o ti linh tu shi ning noi gao mong ni chi bo ba lo bia hai cho ti linh tu tu mi mai gao mua cho kê tu xia e kia ư mua sao kia lo ua y mi đại đau chia.
In a world dominated by digital screens and instant gratification, there's an increasing divide in our human connections and difficulties expressing our vulnerabilities. Letters to My Podcast explores the tapestries of storytelling by transforming written letters into spoken word. I have the honor of interviewing courageous guests as they dedicate their letters to a loved one, showcasing their vulnerability through their past experience, reflecting on challenges and lessons learned, present realities, exploring current identities, struggles, and passion, future aspirations, sharing their hopes, goals, and dreams for the future. Lastly, and most important, is wisdom sharing, imparting their wisdom, their advice, and inspiration to the next generation. Some of you who may not be Hmong may be wondering, what is a Tu and why Mai? The names Mai and Tu are two of the most common names in the Hmong culture, similar to Muhammad, Fatima, Juan, and Maria. Tu is a wordplay to Tu. Mai is a wordplay to Mai. Hence, the guest dedicates a letter to my daughter, son, partner, or whoever. Hello, 안녕하세요. My name is Sai. I'm your podcast host with the Letter to My Podcast. Welcome, where I get the privilege to capture, reflect, and share stories. I love what I do as a social worker. I'm proud to be Hmong. We are a small and mighty ethnic group from Southeast Asia. Get ready for the guest to Sasol, which translates in our language to send message. Again, Sasol, to send message by the way of letters that speak and stories that heal. Here's our next guest. Enjoy vulnerable listening. Bye. Welcome, everyone, to the Letters to My Podcast. We have a special guest today, and her name is Lisa Yang, and I can't wait for you all to listen to her story and her letter. I want to tell you all a little bit about Lisa. Lisa is a second-generation Hmong American female, completing her freshman year at the University of Wisconsin, majoring in biology on a pre-med track. She aspires to continue her education in medical school, where she hopes to become a general surgeon and work in the emergency room. She hopes to work with underserved community. Lisa comes from a large Hmong family. She has 6 older half-siblings and 2 biological siblings. During high school, Lisa actively participates in various extracurricular activities that includes student council, the National and Spanish Honor Society, band, choir, and golf. She served as the president of the Student Council and the National Honor Society during her senior year, doing numerous community projects. In 2024, she competed in the Oshkosh, Wisconsin for the title of Miss Hmong Wisconsin Teen and won. And now she's completing the term until September 2025. Loves helping out in her community and volunteering in her free time. She enjoys meeting new people, singing, and baking. Lisa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Can you introduce yourself to the guests for a little bit?
안녕하세요. Lumbehuan Lisa Bajongya. Guzi Lumbehuan Gava Tiagunia Lumbehuan Ga. And then I am from Glenwood City, Wisconsin.
Thank you, Lisa, for introducing yourself. So today, just want to let you know, Lisa is our first Gen Z guest. Is that correct, Lisa?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So part of this podcast is to connect across generations, from the young the middle age to the old. So I'm really happy that you're coming on here, Lisa. I wanted you to come on the podcast because I want to share with all the guests your experience with grief, experiences as a Gen Z, and also being a pageant winner. I'm so proud of you. Great job.
Thank you.
Yes. When you heard about the podcast, what did you think about it and what made you want to join?
The first thing I thought when I heard letters to my, I read it as like, oh, letters to like myself. And the more that I got to know about this podcast, I was like, this is a very great opportunity to learn about an individual and the sacrifices that they have made to be the person that they are today. So I was very grateful to have this opportunity to be a part of the podcast today, to talk a little bit about myself and the sacrifices I have made to be the person I am today.
There we go. And that's exactly it right there, Lisa. I have nothing to add. All right, Lisa, who did you write your letter to and why?
I wrote my letter to my mom because I never realized the sacrifices she actually made herself to help me. And I know that I'm always like a busy person. So in order for me to like get the help and support I wanted, my mom was the one who was always there for me. So I wanted to dedicate this letter to her to know that her sacrifices that she makes, I'm the one who acknowledges them. Because it may seem like we don't really care that our parents are sacrificing so much, but I just want her to know. As I reflect on my childhood experiences, motivation, and successes this far, I have acknowledged the hardships and complications of parenthood and appreciate the unwavering love and support that you and Dad have bestowed upon me. Your support, trust, motivation, and love are the main reasons I have made it this far in life and chosen the path I have. I never fully understood the hardships that you guys endured while raising us. Growing up, I often took for granted the countless sacrifices you guys had to make, believing that your love and care came effortlessly. It wasn't until we lost Dad in 19 while observing you pick up the pieces that I was aware of the struggles and how much you gave up to ensure my happiness and well-being. Losing Dad forced me to grow up quickly and forced myself to observe life through a different lens other than my own. And for the first time, I understood what it meant to step out of my shoes and walk in someone else's shoes. You have worked tirelessly to provide us with things you never got as a child. If only I could have understood both of your sacrifices when I was younger, perhaps I would have expressed my gratitude more openly and often. My present realities. As I look into the future and make plans, I understood why you raised me to be the person I am today. Without your guidance, I would struggle in the real world and not know what to do. You have taught me that if you want something, you must work to achieve it, because it won't just come to you. I have also learned that without failure, there's no success. You always had a way with your words and knew what to say when I needed to stay on course. You taught me that you can't always have what you want and that earning it through hard work is essential. These lessons have become even more apparent to me during my first year in college. You were right. Success is earned and not given. My future aspiration. My future aspiration is to establish a strong reputation for myself as a Hmong American woman. I aim to earn a doctorate and work as a general surgeon in the emergency room. Additionally, I want to be actively engaged with the Hmong community, helping the younger generation maintain our Hmong roots and preserve our culture and customs. I want to motivate and educate the younger generation to aim high and succeed while remembering and honoring our Hmong roots. I want to share this wisdom with you. I would like to share this wisdom that my mom has passed to me, which has been the foundation of who she is and directed the work she has done in her career as a nurse practitioner. My mother has lived by one of her favorite quotes by Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. This quote reminds us to treat others as we would like to be treated. My mom has also emphasized that a simple act of kindness can change someone's life and change the way they see the world in a positive way. Kindness starts with us, and it's contagious. Keep this quote in mind on your path in your journey through life. Kindness alone can unite all things and strengthen numerous communities.
Lisa, that's such a wonderful letter that you wrote to your mom. I really like how you were vulnerable and brought up quotes from her and kind of like emphasized how much she has invested in you. So that's very powerful because you're right. Oftentimes sometimes, because I do too, take it for granted. So how did you feel after writing this letter? I would like you to reflect.
It was actually very difficult at first because my letter wasn't actually going to be dedicated to my mom. I was going to dedicate this letter to my younger siblings, my two younger brothers. But then I realized that my mom is the leader. She's like the leader of our little pack, and we don't really focus on like the sacrifices that she has made for me and my siblings. So I wanted to tell her in a way where it's like, because I'm not used to telling my mom like I love you in person, so it's usually over text, and I wanted to have this letter be like a sort of I love you, and these are the reasons why I want to express my love to you.
There we go. And every Hmong kid should be saying I love you to your parents. You have to start it because they were never told that they were loved. So I have to go through my own thing too. My dad, I haven't done it, Lisa. Just let you know. My mom, I have. So it's okay. All right, so let's jump into the questions. So just to remind the listeners, the format of the podcast: the guest reads the letter, they talk about the past experience, the present realities, future aspiration, and wisdom sharing. Okay, and Lisa, we're gonna start out with our past realities at the moment. There's some questions that I'm gonna ask you. If you don't feel comfortable, it's okay. You don't have to answer. I want to talk to you about your past experience. You talked about 2019, something that affected you and your family. And one of my questions that I like to ask in the letters to my podcast is what broke you and then what molded you? So can you talk a little bit more about that?
What broke me was in 19. My family had to deal with something that was very unexpected. I suddenly lost my dad very fast. My dad, I feel like it's every Hmong dad, but they're very stubborn, especially my dad. He was a workaholic, and he would never want to go to like his doctor's appointments. And when my dad was sick, he didn't want to go to the hospital. But then one day my mom took him to the emergency room, and I remember getting a call from my older brother saying, "Hey, like Dad's in the hospital. Your aunt's gonna come pick you up, and then we'll all be here to see Dad." And I remember going into the room and just seeing him, and I looked at him, and I was like, "Oh, like, so you're so sick that you're like in the bed now, you know?" Wow. And I was only in 8th grade, so a part of me is like, "Oh, you're gonna be fine because like you're in the hospital. The doctors and the nurses here, they're gonna do everything they can to get you better and then take you home." And we went to school the next day, and me and my brothers got called out of school early. And that's when we found out that my dad had gotten worse and he was in the ICU. So I don't remember who, but it was my aunt, because my mom was in the ICU room with my dad. My aunt came and she took us to the hospital. We saw my dad, and my dad was he had like a whole bunch of tubes hooked up to him, and I wanted to talk to him, but the thing is he wasn't awake, so I didn't really know like if what I said to him he would hear it, you know, because sometimes like I even grew up watching like the shows where it's like, "Oh, I hope you can hear what I'm saying." And I just remember I asked my mom if I could be in the room by myself with my dad, and I told my dad because I think we kind of got off like a bad foot too, where we had like a conversation that turned into an argument because my dad, again, is a workaholic, and I just was lecturing with him saying that, you know, sometimes I can't always come home and like help you feed your animals because we had like a little farm, and I had to like focus on doing my homework first before I could help him. And I just remembered that, and I was in the room with my dad, and I said, "Dad, I'm so sorry for having an argument with you. Can you like come back home?" And just like things like that, because I don't even know what was going in my like running through my mind, because again, I was in middle school. I didn't really know what was going on, but I could
You
still
were probably
process.
in shock.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's just cut, you know.
it's the process that was running and the adrenaline rush and everything. So I'm over there crying and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And I think that like what I'm gonna say is gonna like make things better. And like hopefully my dad would just like wake up and be like, hey, everything's gonna be fine, you know. But throughout the night, it did not get better. And I remember my uncles, they came. We were in like this room that they had in the hospital. And I remember just us sitting around the table. And my brother asked, this is what broke me the most was my younger brother asked, when will dad come home? And I already knew the answer to that because I was like, if we're having this conversation, I'm getting the gist of like this is not gonna go well. And from there on, we were told that my dad needs like the life support. Other than that, there's nothing else that the doctors could do. And I remember being angry with like the doctors, and I was like telling my mom, like, Mom, why can't they do anything else to help? And my mom, being like a medical provider herself, she understood the process and everything going on. And I think it was just a part of like anger that got to me and the disbelief and believing like what I was going through right now. So that whole night we spent in the hospital until the morning, and then we went home. And then going home, I woke up and the house felt very quiet. Because usually my dad, he would be playing his like kutsia that he listened to on his phone very loud. So it was different not to hear it every morning or the morning that we got.
Yeah, Lisa, I was just listening to you. I think with grief and so forth, and listeners also heard me talk about this. As a therapist, I work with clients through grief, and it's one of the toughest thing. And one thing that you talked about made me thought of the word void. There's a void in you. So, talk more about that. What was that void, and how did your dad leaving this physical earth made you have go to grief and depression and so forth?
That void, there was definitely something missing, and I didn't know how to fill it. And there was something I struggled a lot with it because it was like, what am I going to do? And each day I just went on like, hey, you know, like dad's still here, like he'll come back, you know, it's just one big dream. And I didn't want to believe that it was like the reality, you know, it's like what I'm going through right now, but I'm just trying to make up a whole bunch of excuses to fill that void because it's empty, and I'm just trying to find something to fill it, to fill up the space. And I think what molded me was, I think the realization of losing my dad shaped me into realizing that life is too short. And it made me realize that we need to spend time more with our loved ones because any day they can be gone. And I never realized that till now. So you really should treat others with kindness and always just like try to leave on like a good relationship, because one day they might just be gone suddenly, and then, like me, regret how you ended things before they went.
I'm there with you. Just cherish every moment, do the best you can, and like one thing that I help people is present moment thinking. So yes, we go through sadness in the past. Yes, we go through future, but remember the present, the time you have with people. And Lisa, you talk basically. I just want to teach everyone about the stages of grief. You know, there's usually 5. It's not linear. So what that means is that you don't have to go through each stage in sequence. There's a denial stage where you say that this person did not die, pass away. There's the anger stage, which Lisa talked about it. There's the bargaining. Like, I wish I would have talked to them differently. Or I wish if I would have done this, then they'll still be alive. And there's a depression stage, and then there's acceptance stage where you accept that this passing has been gone, and however people heal is their way of acceptance. So Lisa, this is a very tough thing, and dealing with it as a kid, because you were an 8th grader. How old were you, 8th grader? 14, 15?
Like 13, 12, 13?
12,
Yeah.
13, and going through that, it must have been extremely difficult to even process all these things. So what helped you during your grief, and who helped you, and how did you do it?
It was definitely a process. I was the type of person where I didn't want anyone's help, so I shut everybody out because what I told myself is like, no one knows what I'm going through. I'm the only one going through this. No one's gonna understand how I feel. But I never understood that, like, I'm not the only one that's going through it. I'm just handling it differently. Totally forgot about my younger siblings. I totally forgot about my mom, because my mom's probably dealing with the worst, having to take care of 3 kids now. And I was like, maybe I should just go back a little bit and teach myself that everyone goes through something differently and we handle it differently. So the way that I handled it was not getting the help I wanted until I finally sat down with my mom and talked about it. At first I was angry and I took my anger out on my mom. And then I realized that my mom doesn't deserve that anger because she's probably going through the same thing, but she's not lashing her anger out on me because, one, I'm the kid, and two, she's the adult trying to calm down her kid. So that definitely, like, that shocked me from what I did, and then made me realize that I need to, like, step up and be, like, the older sibling for my younger siblings and help support them as well. So as I knew that even if I'm struggling through something, I need to, like, work with my emotions with someone else, because it's better to express your emotions than hold it in. Because if you hold in your expressions, it's like a balloon where it's like the air keeps going into the balloon, but it won't pop unless you release it. And that's what I went through.
Yeah. I use the Coke bottle analogy, very similar, where your emotions are shaken up, and the only way you can do is explode. And when you explode, it's all over. You're meaning all over in terms of energy is depleted, you didn't deal with the situation, and conflict happens, internal conflict happens. So I think with you, Lisa, I'm really happy that you got to the point of awareness and saying that I need to talk to someone, I need to get help. And oftentimes in our culture, the podcast episode before this with Sharon said it best, that Hmong people suffer in silence. Hmong people suffer in silence. And it's not just Hmong people. And I want to include that human beings suffer in silence. So what you're doing is you're combating and challenging that, Lisa. Because answer this question, if you didn't do that, where would you be at today?
I feel like I would be a stubborn person where I don't want to get the help that I need, and I would still be struggling. I feel like I would just be locked inside my room, hiding away from society, because I don't want to have, like, the interaction with people, because I feel like I don't need their help, because I rather struggle on my own. And if I didn't learn that at a young age, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
And those, to me, what I tell people is that thinking right there is unhealthy. It's unhealthy behavior, unhealthy thinking. And what you did was very healthy in talking to your mom. So good job, because she's the best supporter and she went through it with you. So I think that's the difference. A lot of the time we get angry because we blame other people for things like that. And in truth, I love your whole process and healing. So a lot of this, you're healing, Lisa. So good job. Lisa, any other thoughts on grief? I'm going to ask you a little bit more about your childhood and like happy moments. Anything else?
I think that's it for grief.
Okay, Lisa, so we're going to transition a little bit from grief. I'm going to ask you about your childhood. What help made you who you are today?
I can definitely say I am not a perfect person, and I believe there is no such thing as a perfect person, because everybody can make mistakes. And I grew up thinking that I was going to be the perfect standard Asian child, where I was going to be very good at math, I could play instruments, and I just wanted to be that proud daughter to show off for your parents. But growing up, it was a lot harder than I thought. The struggles that you go through from childhood to, like, towards, I'll say, 5th grade, it's very different. I would say from kindergarten to 3rd grade, you're not mature yet, so you're, like, still learning everything until you hit 5th grade, where it's like you're gonna be entering middle school soon. You need to shape up. And I can say that I've made a lot of mistakes in my life that I have learned from, to help me be a better person right now as I am an adult. And one mistake that I made, for an example, is when my mom told me not to have social media, because at the time you don't know the dangers of social media, but you're just a kid and you want to follow everyone else's footsteps. So when I was like in 4th grade, I saw all of my friends, they had like a used phone or like an iPod, and they had TikTok, which was like Musically before they changed the name. They had Musically, and I was like, wow, like I want to be on that app, and I want to be like the type of people to like show off my like lip sync skills or like do what my other friends are doing. Like I wanted to copy what they were doing because I saw them as like the popular kids, and I want to be a popular kid. And I went behind my mom's back and did it. But then I realized that I never knew the dangers of social media. And it's like, wow, I need to take a step back and be like, this is wrong. And as a kid, it's very difficult to go to your parents and admit something that you did, because the first thing you automatically think is, oh my god, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm scared. Like they're gonna ground me. What are they gonna do?
Right.
And I remember my mom was angry. She's like, I told you not to do it. But my mom was very understanding because as a kid, you're still learning yourself. So my mom did lecture me, and she taught me. She gave me a lesson that, like, you know, you have to be careful about what you do, especially on social media, because on social media you can like access anything, look up anything, and sometimes it's very scary. And I was like, I never thought about it until then. I was, you're right. Learning from that mistake, I did not have a phone because I did not want one. I was like, okay, I'm gonna step away from the electronics. I'm just gonna go have fun and play outside. And that's what I did. And I feel like that helped me too, because I didn't have to worry about being in danger because I was being protected by my parents. And that is just one mistake that I've made for me to learn now.
Well, I think it takes a lot of awareness and understanding of yourself and understanding of people to even say that, because it's so easy for us. There's something called group think. If everyone's swimming, I want to go swimming too, right? Or if everyone's smoking weed, I want to go smoke weed too. It's just a natural inclination, meaning a desire of humans to want to connect with others. So what you're doing is making healthy choices. And I just want to add on with you, social media. I love social media, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. It can create instant gratification, it can create depression, it can create comparison, and also some of the things that we have with the algorithm, it's not healthy. So I'm happy that you talked about that and admitting to lessons learned. And also, this is going to lead you far, Lisa. Crap. That's a lot of wisdom. I didn't have the power for that. Good. Okay, so Lisa, let's move on to a little bit more. I want to talk to you more about your past experience about being in a blended family. So blended family means that it's a mixed family. It could be from children of divorce or foster children or anyone. So you came from a family, you have 2 biological and 6 step siblings. So talk more about your experience with that, what you dealt with, how that was different growing up and so forth.
I actually
And I love your siblings. Your sister, I am a board member for her organization because she is working to help the Asian communities with substance use disorder, and I'm a big believer in that. So this is why I wanted to bring you on. But anyways, go ahead.
I'm growing up in a mixed family. I didn't think it was difficult because my older like half siblings, they were doing like their own thing because they're already old enough to like do what they want. I think it was just difficult for me because I felt like I didn't get like, well, as a kid you don't think you're getting enough attention from the parents, but then I also didn't realize like there's so many kids to take care of that like I kind of forgot that like I'm not the only one that my parent has to like focus on. And when my older siblings were in high school, I felt like I wasn't very close to them because they were already like older than me. So I didn't really have like anyone to hang out with. I just remember like I was always at my grandparents' house, so I wasn't always around them. And growing up, I wasn't very close to them because they were just always doing their own thing. And looking back at it now, I wish that I created like a better bond with them so I could be closer to them. But again, with the age gap, it's kind of hard to like deal with it. I barely see my older siblings now too because they've already started their own families and I'm doing my own thing. So looking back at it too, it's like I wish I did more with them. But then it was also difficult because of the age gap, what years we were going like to school, and then me being young and always being at my grandparents because there was like no babysitter.
That makes sense. Yeah, blended family is completely different experiences. Everyone has very unique experiences. So thank you for sharing that. So we talked about grief. We talked about childhood. We talked about mixed family. Okay. Okay, hey Lisa, so thank you so much for sharing that. We're gonna wrap up the past experience. I'm gonna ask you one last question, and I want you to reflect on your past, things that you learned about yourself. And also, in the last thing, I want you to say a couple I statements saying, I am proud that I blink. Okay?
Looking back at the past, I am very proud of how I've handled things because I feel like most kids, they don't know how to like handle a situation because we're so young, we're like still immature and we don't know how to like think clearly. And I felt like I was the type of kid where I wanted to do something without thinking, and that goes into like my mistakes. Like I've done so many mistakes, but I've done it so many times where I've learned from it to not do it again. And I'm just very proud that I was able to observe that and then fix it so that I wouldn't have to do it. And then I am also proud of myself for realizing that I don't always have to follow in someone else's footsteps because it's always better to be a leader than a follower.
Agreed. And it's also better to create your own goddamn path than follow else someone's path. So you're right. Create it.
Yes.
I'm a big believer. If there's no space for you, make it. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, we're going to transition to the present realities, and I always like to ask the guests, what are your identities? Because identities are important because they represent who we are. Go ahead.
I identify as a Asian American woman, a person who is family oriented, a daughter, a pageant person, and a future medical provider.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So, Lisa, we talked about grief. We talked about your childhood. Let's talk about your projects. What kind of made you run for Miss Hmong Wisconsin pageant teen? I might have said that wrong.
Growing up, I did struggle with my body image and I didn't really know how to deal with it because back to like the social media, I did see like a lot of people on social media, they were really pretty or very skinny, and it kind of gave me like there's like a beauty standard for society, and I let that impact my mental health, and that led me down to depression because I always focused on what people would say about my body. And I remember, especially in elementary school, I would change my outfits like multiple times. I remember standing in like the mirror and looking at myself and say, I don't think I look good in this shirt because like you can see my belly rolls and I don't think people are gonna say something about it. So before I even went to school, I changed my shirt at least like 3 or 4 times before I left the house. And I was like, why am I doing
So
this?
wrong.
This is
So
actually
wrong.
something that I'm still learning because
You're not the
body
only one,
image,
Lisa.
yes, body image is a big thing. People still struggle with it today in society. I grew up watching a bit of Hmong pageantry and saw that it was always like very pretty, skinny woman running. And I didn't see people who looked like me running for pageantry. And sometimes I was like, is it true that like society has a beauty standard then? And growing up, reaching high school, I was like, I want to be the person to change the beauty standard. And I want to prove to people that people who are a bit bigger can do anything as any other person can, who has struggled with their body image or the self image and has like struggled with it and they don't know how to like get out of like the phase. And this was a very big step for me because one, I was trying to get out of my comfort zone to prove to myself that I can do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had to tell myself that people are gonna like say negative things no matter what you do, because I've also learned that too watching pageantry and reading like the comments, and people just say negative things and it's like, okay, maybe it's just people in the world.
No, it's like the internet trolls, and I compare them because they're easy for them to say stuff, but they would never show up. and deal with
Yeah.
himself.
So I had to remind myself that, hey, I'm the one doing it. So I should be proud no matter what, because I'm the one stepping out of my comfort zone to take the effort to do something that I'm very passionate about. And the message that I want to spread is to love yourself. And that took me a little bit to try to actually spread. So when I first heard of Miss Hmong Wisconsin Teen, I was like, this is going to be a great opportunity for me to start slowly spreading my platform and spreading body positivity and trying to influence and be a great leader for younger women who have struggled with body image, to help them come out of their shell, to embrace it. Because, true story, I did not wear shorts until my junior year of high school, because I was always scared people were gonna say how big my thighs were. Or I grew up on a farm, so I was a farm kid. I have a whole bunch of like scars from like falling or like getting scraped. So I always were like, my legs are ugly, and if I wear shorts, I'm gonna show like my big thighs and all my scars on my legs. And my junior year, I was, you know what? I'm gonna have to suck it up and just wear shorts, because why are people looking at your legs anyways? So I did it, and I was like, it's not as bad as I thought, because I thought that when I start wearing shorts, people were gonna start saying things like, why are you wearing shorts? You don't look good in shorts. And I was like, maybe I need
to. Really, it was only your voice.
Yeah, it was actually only my own voice. So I learned that the biggest critic in our lives is ourselves, because we say so much bad things about ourselves that like we don't even notice it. We're the ones who are giving ourselves like the negative feedback.
And this is what I teach in therapy. I always try to tell people to flip that.
Yes.
So because you know that there's an issue, rather than just the issue and focusing on it, okay, great. If you flip it, saying that, oh, it's actually my mind telling me that something's wrong. It's actually my body telling me something's wrong. So if your mind is telling you that I don't look good, it could be a medical thing. It could actually be that you're actually depressed. Or it could actually be that you need to do X, Y, and Z just to help yourself, rather than being fixated on one thing. So Lisa, proud of you for going through that. I know you're still going through that, because I go through that. Something called imposter syndrome. And what I want to tell you all, that imposter syndrome is not real. It is a definition, but it's not real. Meaning what's not real is it's a made up thing that you made up in your head. And the actual term I learned from one of my social work mentors that says that it's actual macro invalidation. Macro meaning your overall big picture. Invalidation meaning you're invalidating yourself. So it's something you telling yourself that you're not good enough. And that's what you want to figure out what it is. So good job.
Yep. And as I ran for this pageant, I wanted to get my message out there saying that no matter what you look like, you are the person who is coming out of your shell to do it. You're trying to prove to people that anyone can do something. You can accomplish anything, even if there's someone who is going to stop you. There might be someone to stop you to be like, oh no, I don't think you should. But then you also have to remember, this is what my mom taught me, is if I wanted to pursue something, she would probably tell me no, because why am I going to do it? Because I'm not going to benefit from anything. For an example, I was, during COVID, I got into nails, and I was like, I think I'm going to do nails as like a hobby and probably like do a little side business. And my mom's like, no, I don't think you should. But then I was like, I'm going to do it anyways. Like, you're my mom, but then I also feel like this is something I really love, so I'm going to go and pursue it. So even though someone tells you no, they're just telling you no because they're trying to keep you safe, because they're trying to protect you from like the failures or the setbacks. But then you're the person who is working to pursue it. So as I ran for this pageant, I was like, even if like don't get on court, I'm still trying to spread my message about the positivity of body image and trying to encourage younger girls to love themselves, because I myself struggled with that when I was younger.
Absolutely. And Lisa, you talking about, this is one of my favorite quote that has helped me with myself and loving myself. And I love how you focus on loving yourself, which is self-love, and also embracing it, whatever it is. So this quote talks about self-compassion and love. So the quote says, Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness, concern, and support you would show a good friend. When faced with difficult life struggles or confronting personal mistakes, failures, and inadequacy, self-compassion responds with kindness rather than harsh judgment, recognizing that imperfection is part of the shared human experience. So basically what that means is just love yourself with self-compassion as if you would your best friend. Thoughts about that, Lisa?
I definitely agree with that quote because I feel that we can't help someone unless we help ourselves first. We definitely need the self love for ourselves before we go out of our reach to go help the other person.
Exactly. Well, the simplest example is this. Lisa, you have a car and I have a car. I ran out of gasoline, and if you don't have any gasoline, you can't give me anything, right? Yeah. So you have to have 10 gallons of gasoline to give me 1 gallon, right?
Right.
So you are safe and I'm safe. So well said, and that's it. And this is what we want to teach in the podcast, which is self-love. But before that, we got to talk about vulnerabilities, and that's what you did today. So Lisa, on this podcast, we talk to professionals who are working and doing projects as well. I know you're in school, but I'm pretty confident you're pretty involved right now. So tell me more of some of the projects that you are working on right now.
One of my current projects I am working on right now is to give tips and advices to upcoming freshmen who are going to come into college. I am working on this project because as one of the winners for my pageant, we do these solo projects to count as our community service. And I thought that this would be a very good community service project to share with the community about advice as to receive as a freshman in college, because as a freshman in college right now, I can definitely say I've gone through my ups and downs.
Absolutely.
So basically, I would just I am asking current UW students what they wish they learned their freshman year to help them succeed more, or tips they have, tips and tricks.
You should put that in a video recording. I think the incoming freshmen seeing it would be
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean that's legacy building, Lisa. You're making it, creating less barriers for the next generation. Good job. That's good. Yeah, those pageants are really good. Community service is important, so keep that up, okay? We need you all. Okay, Lisa, so we're going to transition to the future aspirations. And I always like to give people a definition of aspiration. Aspiration is a strong desire, longing, or aim or ambition. It could be an intellectual ambition. It could also be craving or yearning for something. It could also be a goal, an objective that is strongly desired. For example, the presidency has always been her aspiration since childhood. All right, Lisa. So I want to ask you regarding some prompt questions, right? So I want you to finish the sentence. I want, I desire, I yearn, I will be, I aim for.
I want to be a strong leader for our Hmong community. I believe that I have the right message that I want to share with the younger generation, especially being a Gen Z myself. I want to help influence and encourage young kids who also went through the same problems I probably did or are going through their own. I want to help them get through it and become a great leader themselves one day. I desire to help shape our Hmong community to be more positive and to have more great leaders to do great things in this world. I will be a great leader someday based on what I have the passion to do and what I'm passionate for. I would love to be a great medical provider and help our Hmong community as well. I aim for success in everybody and success for myself as I'm going through adulthood. I also aim for better equality for this whole world.
Preach to the choir. I'm right there with you. Thank you. Okay, Lisa, we're going to finish the next part regarding the future aspiration. Here's the next question. So Lisa, can you tell us what or who has inspired you to keep going forward?
Someone that has inspired me to keep moving forward is my mom. My mom has already gone through the process of making mistakes and learning from them, and her passing her wisdom and knowledge down to me and my younger siblings. One of the reasons why I want to become a medical provider is because of her. She is one of the reasons why I want to be a medical provider in the near future. I have seen her struggle as she has gone through school and her obtaining her doctorate while I was in high school. And she has shown me that age is just a number and that you're able to achieve anything at any time in your life. And I want to use her wisdom and her knowledge to help me keep moving forward with my education, as there are times when I want to give up because I feel like I can't do it. But she is my proof that she could do it because she had kids, took a break from medical school, and continued after having kids. So she is the reason why I want to continue and not give up, because I've seen her struggle. And her struggles are the reasons why I want to continue.
Beautiful. No, I get inspired by other people, whether it's my family, professionals, social justice leaders, and so forth. So continue to use that. These are all motivation, inspirations, and also you can be what you see, and also you can be what you don't see because you can make the space. So, Lisa, on the last question regarding future aspiration, I want you to begin with the end in mind. So, paint the picture as if you were this already in your profession. When you are a medical doctor in the emergency room, what does it look like? Paint it for us. Tell us your joys, your what you're hoping to do and be.
When I am a medical provider in the emergency room, I would feel really happy that I am helping someone, because whether they're sick or whether they're hurt, I am doing something out of my passion to help them. And I believe that going into a career, I want to go into a career where I can spread my kindness and be passionate about something without asking for anything in return.
So, Lisa, the social work in me. So, when I ask question, there's a reason why I try to elicit something for you. So, just to tell the listeners, is the reason why I asked Lisa that question. I will ask future guests that question. Is your why, UHY, is the most important reason. It's the biggest way to challenge procrastination, meaning or stopping yourself, or those self-talk where you talked about, Lisa. You're not good enough, you shouldn't wear shorts and all that stuff. It's basically saying your why, right? Why am I not wearing shorts? And you answered it because I've heard people would judge me. Why do I want to be a medical professional in the ER room? It's because of all the things you just talked about. So, Lisa, your why is the most important, and size why is the most important, because this is why I do. This is why I do the podcast, to share stories. Any last thoughts?
No.
So, Lisa, we're almost at the end of the podcast. We're going to get to the wisdom sharing, where you pass the inspiration message to the next generation. So, I really like your experience regarding school, pageant, and so forth. I would love for you to share any advice that you would give to someone who wants to follow in your footsteps.
My hope for someone who is looking to follow into my footsteps would to be true to yourself and pursue the passions that you have. Don't let others dictate your path, because I know that it's difficult to try to follow what others say, but you are also your own person. And I know that you can also achieve your dreams if even though you think it's difficult. I believe that with the right guidance you have in life, you can achieve anything. And to remember that you are your own person and you make the choices no one else does.
Speak the truth, Lisa. I love that. How would you leave the world a better place for the next generation?
I hope to have the influence to help educate and encourage the younger generation to be a leader for their community, especially in our Hmong community, because in our Hmong community right now, we have so many great leaders such as Brenda Song, Sunisa Lee, and those are like some of the people to look up to. I definitely look up to the both of them, and I want to have the same impact to leave for the next generation, and to hope that they make a change in the world, because the world can't be a better place without them.
Well said. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing that. Can you share us an experience in which knowledge or wisdom was passed down to you that you would like to share with the listeners?
Something I would like to share with the listeners about the wisdom that I've learned is to follow the path that you want to take. I know that I was influenced by other people that maybe I should go this path, but then I have also realized that this is the path that I don't want, because I'm being a follower now. So take a step back and just breathe and realize that you are your own person. You have to be the leader, because those people probably won't be in your lives for the rest of your life, because I thought that too. So keep your friends close, but sometimes you might have to let them go, because they probably weren't meant to be in your life the whole time. And be yourself, because there's going to be no one to guide your life besides yourself.
Definitely. And I just want to tell the listeners, especially the Gen Z, we talk about this in one of our podcasts, how um, parents, our Hmong parents would tell us not to do something. And you talked about it too, Lisa, because it's meant to protect you. And that's also fear. But where does that come from? That comes from a culture or of people who have been committed genocide, war, fleeing their home country. So it's just fear that they don't want you to fail because they love you and all that stuff. So what I always tell people is learn to find balance on what to listen to and what not to listen to, right? And understanding that, like Lisa said, you make your own decision at the end of the day because it's gonna affect you. Well said, Lisa. So Lisa, this wraps up our podcast session. Is there any last words that you want to say?
Yes. So this letter is dedicated to my mom. Mom, I want you to know that I love you so much. And although I don't express it all the time, this is my way of being appreciative because of all the things that you have done for me. And even though you might think that I don't care, I really do care. And I truly appreciate all the sacrifices you have made for me to be where I am at today, especially having to take work off to take me places. You are truly a amazing super mom, and I couldn't have asked for a better mom.
Lisa, thank you again so much for sharing your wonderful story of self-discovery, vulnerability, and letter writing dedication. We really appreciate you for spending the time. And just to reflect on everyone and what Lisa has talked about today, she talked about body positivity, she talked about healing from grief, she talked about the love and joys of relationship and what her mother has meant to her. And I think, Lisa, one thing I really enjoyed from our conversation is that you proved yourself right. I think that's the strongest thing that what you did. So I'm inspired by that. Just want to let you know that. And also loving yourself. So I appreciate that you talked about that too as well. So again, listeners, thank you again for joining us. This is where this podcast is about talk about vulnerabilities. It's where letters that speak and stories that heal. And this is what Lisa has done today. And again, I always leave us on one quote on Letters to My Podcast. Our children are our greatest hope that we have, and the future belongs to them. By Nelson Mandela, South African revolutionary. Thank you again for joining us, Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on Letters to My Podcast inaugural Season 1. We hope you can hear the power of storytelling, vulnerability, and self-expression rooted in the Hmong tradition. Let's continue to bridge the digital divide. I am Sai's niece. My name is Emma, and he is my uncle. He has helped me become more confident and made me come out of my comfort zone. I remember one day he took us nieces out to Dairy Queen. We decided to race back to the car, but my sister ran too fast and slipped under the car. It was memorable because it was funny, and those moments are something I would cherish forever. Letters to My Podcast is where vulnerability meets self-discovery. Self-discovery meets writing. Journaling, writing letters, or handwriting isn't just about writing what is on your mind or reliving your experiences. It is a medium for self-expression and self-reflection. Take a pause and time to think. For Sai, it began with journaling in college, a practice that became a lifeline. He poured his fears, failures, successes, self-doubt, and inspiring quotes on index cards. At one point, he had over 300 index cards in a shoebox. Writing helped him discover a powerful path to self-awareness, increasing his mental well-being and assisting in processing his emotions. As a social worker, a pen and paper were his constant companion, helping him process interactions and to not miss anything important. Sai has benefited from the power of writing and wants to revitalize this practice and share it with you all. A little bit more about my uncle, who is the host. Sai, he, him, his, is a first-generation Hmong American man, social worker, and community organizer with over 12 years of experience. Sai is diagnosed with ADHD. He is passionate about building community through storytelling, self-expression, and the importance of affinity with their human counterpart. Sai believes each generation builds upon the next and seeks to uplift the next generation. One quote that embodies Letters to My Podcast. Our children are the greatest hope we have. The future belongs to them. Nelson Mandela, South African revolutionary. Letters to My Podcast focuses on passing wisdom and uplifting the next generation. It is our turn to pass the torch of wisdom and leave the world a better place than we found it. Let us impart our hopes, dreams, and future to the next generation. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and give a 5-star rating to help with the algorithm. Letters to My Podcast is on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Disclaimer: Sai Ying, LMSW, is not establishing a therapist-client relationship with listeners through this podcast, and any reliance on the content is at your own risk. The views expressed in this podcast are Sai Ying's personal opinions and do not necessarily reflect the views of their employer or licensing board. For any mental health concerns or questions, please seek guidance from a licensed mental health professional or call or text the National Suicide Hotline 988. Thanks for listening to Letters That Speak, Stories That Heal. Sai's niece Emma, outro done. Oh, ciao.